Hey guys, welcome back to Three Peas in a Pod. I'm David.
I'm Haley.
And let's get started with today's episode. So, I was not here last time. I was gone. I was in Arkansas for about a week. And right now we don't have Andrew. So, bye Andrew. So, how was your week?
It was good. My back hurts. I'm sleepy. So
No, I get it.
So
Yeah. So, last time I was at the gym, I hit the bag the wrong way and ended up twisting my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
So my wrist hurts. So I understand the pain. My wrist has been hurting for the last 2 weeks, and I don't know why. I just had like weak wrists, but it's not good. So let's get started. And something that's about to happen soon is the 2024 presidential election. And what doesn't matter who you're voting for. We're at the end of the day, this is, I guess you could say, a friendly competition, even though it's not really a competition. But so depending on who you're voting for, we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Me personally, I know who I think is the right person for the job, and we don't want to impede on anyone's beliefs or thoughts. So we have some fun facts about this presidential election. And do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
You can begin if I can
Alright.
pick up the conversation.
So I only had one fact, I'm not gonna lie, but it was so basically I'm gonna read this off of my notes, and it is that in the 2024 election, like 162 million are projected to vote. 162 Americans.
In this election?
Yes.
Are they dead or alive?
I couldn't tell you.
That's a very good question.
It is, but so 66.6% of eligible voters are going to vote, which I think is probably a little more than usual, because usually voters don't like to vote, which I don't understand, but that's fine. I'm not eligible yet, so. But what are your thoughts on these numbers that were really vague? Yeah.
Well, nowadays it's easier to, like, especially for the liberals, it's easier for you to not be able to vote, but you still vote. Get it? And also, when it comes to illegal immigrants, a lot of them come and they want to vote and stuff. And yes, they should vote, but in their own countries, not here.
So, whenever it comes to the border crisis and stuff, I think I'm pretty non-biased. I grew up in Mexico my whole life. All my friends were Mexican, and up until I was about 10, that's whenever I had moved to the U.S. So you can't say that it's because it's like a racial bias or anything. Personally, I love a lot of people, but my problem is whenever the people start coming in illegally, because we don't know what their intentions are, we don't know why they want to come, but and
You don't know what they're running from too.
Exactly. So everyone's like, yeah, but it was a safety issue. But the biggest problem would be, so okay, yes, they are running from, for instance, a very bad group of people. All right. But now they're going to bring that bad group of people to the U.S. because they're looking for them. So my heart goes out to those people, but my problem is they're essentially cutting in line for the people that want to come here legally.
Mm-hmm.
So personally, I think Trump is the right choice, because he was really strict on the border policy whenever he was here, and we get to say that because we live on the border. So
Yeah.
so we've seen a lot of truth, and this last presidential. The last president that was in office, he didn't, in my opinion, didn't do a very good job on the border and stuff. But so depending on what your beliefs are on that, we don't want to offend you, but this is our view on it. But so do you have anything else you would like to bring to the table?
About the immigration or the elections?
Whatever you want.
Well, I know that the other one running, well, she wasn't even supposed to run, right? But I think that they saw that Biden was like, he was gonna make them lose so much, right?
So
They just brought her in. Y ahora, CNN, which, to be fair, do you even trust CNN? But CNN is saying that it's gonna be a really close election.
So I don't know. I don't want to go into a lot of like non-proven stuff, and there hasn't really been enough evidence to show me that the president elect, or not elect. Well, I don't know. So there's not enough evidence to show to me that she's capable of running the country. Mostly because former President Joe Biden, former President Joe Biden, as of now he is President Joe Biden. He didn't do a very good job. He's not very, like, mentally sound. He's and this isn't me ripping on Biden. I feel very bad for him because it's not, in my opinion, elder abuse, because
it doesn't even look like he wants to be there at a certain point.
And in my opinion, I think he should just retire and be with his family, because he's a very old guy. And of course, Trump is old. He's like 78. So he's old, but the difference between Biden and Trump is Trump hasn't lost his
mental sanity.
Exactly. He hasn't lost his mental sanity. But I mean, like I said, Kamala hasn't proven to me, and I think a lot of Americans, that she is the person right for the job. I don't know. It's just it's an interesting time, because she has promised a lot of things, and she said that she's been saying these things for a really long time. But as someone who lives on the border, and someone who I think I've been pretty active in trying to learn more about both sides, she hasn't really proven anything to me. And in fact, I think a lot of what she's saying isn't true, and I think she's getting that I think she's just saying that to get a lot of Republican voters to switch to her side. And I'm not gonna lie, I think it's a little embarrassing.
Like, apparently now she's a gun owner, which, like, this is...
So I do think she's a gun owner, but I think she's willing to sacrifice her guns to take away everyone else's. And
she keeps, one of the main problems is she keeps saying, like, her rallies, the debate, y todo, that when I'm in office, like, so, girl, you're already in office as vice president.
Yeah, she's been in office for 4 years, and I watched the debate, and Trump was like, "Well, you didn't do anything," and she goes, "Well, vice presidents don't really do anything." And my biggest problem is, why would we have a vice president if they weren't going to do anything? And you can say, "Oh, but it's a mentorship to start out the next presidency," but I do think that is true. But I also think there's multiple reasons. And for instance, Vice President Mike Pence, he didn't really do a lot, but I will say he did crack down more than Kamala did on the border crisis and stuff. And the thing that I didn't know is Kamala has never been down at the border, and she's never been to Europe. And she talks like she has been, but the problem with that is she hasn't. And I do think it's embarrassing that our world leaders have this tendency to go lie and try to cheat people out of their vote. And frankly, I'm for freedom of speech. I think it's cool to believe what you believe. But my biggest problem is whenever you start lying to people to try to convince them to come to the other side. So this 2024 upcoming election is, I think, pretty big, and I would like to encourage people to vote if you can. Obviously,
vote if you're a citizen.
Yeah,
please.
Exactly.
And alive.
So I watched a guy. He goes to campuses and he says, "I believe this. Prove me wrong." And he said, "I think you should need an ID to vote." And everyone was like, "No. Like, I think you should be able to vote without an ID, just like an ID, but or like a driver's license." But the thing is that makes it possible for illegal immigrants to vote, whether it's fair or not. And my problem with that is that, so everyone thinks that it's just Mexicans coming across the border, but the thing is, it's like they're the minority coming across. Now it's people from
China, even, I heard.
No, yeah, we have a lot of Chinese people coming over, and it's not that I don't like Chinese people. It's that the way that you're coming in is going to destroy jobs, because realistically they are, and I feel bad for them because they're going to be targeted by people who want to pay them less, and that's not cool. I'm fighting for border security for our safety and for their safety, because they're going to be taken advantage of, and they're gonna work their whole life, and then they think that they're coming over here for the American dream, but all that's going to be crushed whenever they realize they're getting paid less than minimum wage by someone who's threatening to send them to call the border patrol and then send them back. And I think that's morally wrong. So I'm doing it for their safety and our safety, and I just think that we need to crack down on the problem. And this last president / vice president haven't done a good job on that.
Speaking on the American dream is already dying by Biden, and it's gonna crush completely if Kamala gets
I agree.
the presidency.
So I heard an argument that the reason why our economy has gone down so much was because they inherited, I say that in quotations, they inherited the COVID economy. And the problem is that wasn't really true. A lot of my childhood was spent during COVID. I'm not happy about it. It's really sad. But frankly, the COVID economy is almost just as good as it is now. So the fact that we've seen zero improvement on the economical side shows to me that they're not even trying, and that they're just trying to line their own pockets. And for instance, Trump. I'm not saying this because I love Trump so much. I'm just saying this because he's proven to me and that to a lot of other Americans that he can be trusted, mostly because of the fact that our economical state was booming. We like gas prices were really low. They were at an all-time low. Groceries were low. And I remember, my parents don't make a lot of money. Like we're not rich. We're about lower middle class, right? Well, I loved it. Whenever Trump was president, I was a lot younger, so my priorities were different. I was getting a lot of toys, and I loved it, right? And that's what made me decide that Trump is better suited for the economical state, because of the fact that I have core memories of us actually having a good amount of money compared to now. And now it's a lot harder for us to continue going on and stuff. But that's my personal experience, and I encourage you guys to read up on it and make up your personal opinion, because I don't think anyone should be telling anyone what to believe, and I think it's up to the listener, reader, anyone. It's up to them to do their research and learn what they want to learn, and I think that's what I think. But
because gas prices and grocery prices, cars, house, everything was so low. It was like before the Biden administration, it was so low, and you see. Are you really going to trust a politician's view on business y todo, or a businessman? You choose.
So a lot of the earlier presidents of the United States, like Benjamin Franklin, a lot of them were business owners, and we all remember Benjamin Franklin for being an inventor and stuff. Well, at least that's what I think of whenever I think of him. But he was a business owner. He owned a lot of private businesses, and he made a lot of money, and that's kind of what made the U.S. so great, was that we had a very strong economy. It was built off of hard workers, and it was built for hard workers, and it kind of got squashed. And it's really sad to see that it's hard for me to sit back and realize that. So I'm 16 and I'm going to turn 18 pretty soon, and I want to get a job before 18. It's sad that I have to wait for a different president to come in, so I can go get the money that I want to go get, so I can go set up my future family for success. And for me, that's really hard to see. And I think it's sad that we actually have, my mom told me this, and I agree, that she told me not to invest in anything until Trump became president. And that tells you how bad it is, because my parents are very nice people. They do not like to badmouth people. But whenever it gets so bad that they're like, you gotta wait, then obviously there's something wrong going on. And, it's really hard to talk about politics, and a lot of people think it's boring, and I kind of agree. I wish that it was a lot easier, but the truth of the matter is that it's not easy, and politics do stink. But I think it's important to talk about these things. I'm about to quote someone that I watch a lot, and he said, "As soon as people stop talking, there's essentially there's no peace, and the country will break apart if people stop talking." And people may not necessarily agree with my beliefs, and I may not necessarily agree with theirs, but I respect and love these people, and I hope for the best for them. But this is my take on the 2024 election, and yeah. So okay. So do you have any takes?
What do you think about the assassination attempts on Trump?
So I think it's kind of crazy that I believe it's all 3 assassination attempts that did not work. I think there was 3 that not necessarily on Trump, but they were all Republican.
Yes.
So I'm blanking right now. This stinks. But so okay, let's move on to Trump. So people are saying that the first assassination on Trump was faked.
Absolutely not.
So the thing is, have you seen the video where it's a 3D model, and then it's a above overhead view?
Yeah.
And it's showing where the bullet was at and how he turned his head. Mm-hmm. And if he did not turn his head, literally in that exact moment, it's gonna be graphic, but we would no longer have Donald Trump. And,
any sane person wouldn't risk their life for a little stunt. So that's why I think the first one was real for sure. So, well, also, and this really breaks my heart, and this tells you how
I'm just gonna say it, how indoctrinated people are, that they feel that they need to take someone's life to push their beliefs, and I think that's terrible, especially because I wouldn't wish that on Kamala or President Biden, mostly because I don't have that in my heart, because I think that's evil. And I'm not sitting here on my high horse saying that I'm better than everyone, but I believe if you genuinely in your heart want to kill someone over something that in 4 years is going to end, then I don't know what to tell you. But so President Trump of this time has had 2 assassination attempts. Hopefully there's no more. This one is a little iffy. The guy he didn't get shots off from my understanding. He did not pull the trigger. I did a little bit of research, but a lady saw him go into the bushes. It was at Donald Trump's.
Golf course?
It was at the golf course. He had a hunting rifle, and he was holding it through the chain link fence, and some Secret Service saw him, and he did not get any shots fired. No shots were fired at President Trump. They did shoot about 5 shots at the dude who wanted to assassinate Trump. And a lot of people were saying this was fake because no shots were fired. But the thing is, the guy, whenever they arrested him, he had a backup plan, and the backup plan was his backup plan was to put a bounty on Trump's head. It was like $150,000 on Trump's head, and he actually gave out a list of Trump's schedule. So his private life, things that he was going to do, areas that he was going to be in, and that tells you how bad people want him gone. And I think that's just terrible, because he hasn't, in my opinion, he hasn't really done or said anything worth killing him over. And I mean, if we really want to be nitpicky, if we really want to be objective here, if I'm looking from people that want Trump to be dead, any Republican or Democrat needs to go. If we want to be, like, if we're going based off of their logic, because none of them are good, none of them are bad. A lot of them are just doing this for selfish reasons. The reason why I don't think Trump has been doing it for selfish reasons is because the fact that whenever they offered to pay him the presidential pay, right? He declined it and gave all of it to charity. And I didn't see President Biden do that. I don't think Kamala Harris will do that. Mostly because of the fact that they're not as rich as Trump, and Trump has nothing to prove, and that's what proves a lot to me, is that he has nothing to prove. He doesn't want to convince anyone to like him, and that's what makes him the perfect electee for this. So my views. No one should die over I'm going to say a dumb election. No one should have to die over a dumb election, and no one should be trying to line their pockets with the presidential. They shouldn't try to line their pockets by becoming the president.
What I'm about to say, I'm not trying to offend anyone. It's just that, look, there's been at least 2 or 3 assassination attempts on Trump, right? Well, thank goodness that the people who do it can shoot. Thank goodness. But I haven't seen anything of Biden or Kamala attempted assassinations, or nothing. So the sanity too of the people. So
from what I can take apart from that is that they were extremists, and honestly probably a little encouraged by the higher ups in the Democratic Party, and so everyone thinks that. I learned this recently, is that the U.S. isn't a democracy. So we have pieces of a democracy, but we're a republic. Mm-hmm. So that's where the word Democrat and Republican come from. Is we have democratic policies, but we are not a democratic ran country.
Fully, yeah.
So we are a republic that uses democratic views and some stuff. So we have some democratic parts in our system, but we are a republic, and a lot of people get that confused, and they're like, yeah, we need to fight for democracy, but that's not really. If you're fighting for the U.S. and you're a patriot, you're not fighting for a democracy. You're fighting for a republic that has some parts of a democracy. And personally, I think I'm a patriot. The definition of a patriot, I read it during the patriotic version of 3 Peas in a Pod. I think it's this country. I'm very glad to be a part of it. I wasn't born in this country, but my parents were, and that's what makes me an American. And I'm very proud of this country. I grew up in Mexico, and I'm just comparing Mexico to the U.S. It's very different. I'm just really happy to be here, because if I were anywhere else, it would be a lot harder. And I'm very blessed to be here. I believe a lot of people are very blessed to be here, and that's why a lot of people want to come here. So I'm all for people coming over legally. I'm all for people being proud of the U.S., and I'm all for voting. So I would, if you can vote. Realistically, a lot of people here can, because we're all minors. But so thank y'all for joining us for 3 Peas in a Pod.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.